So when people come into a place like this, and we're very concerned to make sure that people's health is okay, and need to have social distancing, then I think everybody should eat garlic before they come in here. If they eat garlic before they come in here, then getting close to them, it stinks. So that ensures social distancing. Is that a good idea? No, okay. I read that in a book a few minutes ago. Nevertheless, it's a wonderful opportunity. I'm just saying a few words. I saw enough people in here. Most people are supposed to be coming at 11 o'clock, I think. Or, like Jake just told me, that we got at least already 500 people online. That's a lot online. That's wonderful. But please, those of you who are online, make sure that you're not sitting next to each other in the room where you're listening to this, so you can social distance as well. Is that a good idea, that everybody social distances? I thought when we had social distancing, we'd have many more monks and nuns in the community, as men and women had to spend more time apart, and they realised how wonderful it is to be alone. Does that make sense to you? No, you don't like that joke either. I'm trying my best. Excellent. Okay. Very good. So it's coming close to the new. Actually, I can't really say Happy New Year to you yet, can I? So I can say Happy Old Year. Old Year, New Year. Why should we always discriminate against old things? What's wrong with old things? What's wrong with old year? Why do we celebrate when the good old year suddenly disappears? That's really discriminatory against 2021. So maybe we should change things. And instead of having a nice celebration of the new year, I just have sadness for the old year has disappeared. Did you have a very good 2021? Yeah. I try to encourage people to become alive a bit. I gave a talk at 8 o'clock and I almost sent myself to sleep. Because sometimes if I didn't tell any jokes and people don't laugh, sometimes there's nothing to wake me up. So anyway, it's nice to see the positive side in 2021. And you look back upon what happened in this last year. And you can always see the negative side of what happened. But how about looking at the positive side which happened? People, one of the questions they asked before was, how can you deal with the fact when somebody, they get separated from you, you get separated from them, or somebody dies, or they go to another country, or they decide they don't like you and they leave home, then what would you do? And it's wonderful. A good example of that is I left home just on Tuesday, because it was very hot over there and I had to give a retreat online. And I didn't have any electricity. So I left Bodhinyana and came here. So they missed me in Bodhinyana. But then when I tried to leave here, you missed me here. So it's why is it that people, wherever you go in life, that when somebody leaves, that means that somebody's going to come next time. You have an opportunity. So you should always encourage people to leave so you can enjoy them when they come back. Is that a good idea? Oh my goodness, it's very hard to get you to nod even now. That's much better. There's a little chuckle. But you can't control life. That's one of the things which I've always seen. I think it's lovely when you accept that the life is sometimes beyond your control. It's like and sometimes that happens. Sometimes that when you let things just run as they are programmed to do, many times it's much safer. If you get an aircraft, in the old days when we used to know aircrafts, actually next time I go to an aircraft it'd be really weird. You don't know what to do. I was really used to flying in aircraft. I used to know them very, very well. And sometimes one of the things I always notice when flying overseas is the people who get on the aircraft first. You see them they're lining up. They always want to get on the aircraft first, but then these are the same people who want to get out of the aircraft first. And I thought, if they don't like the aircraft, they want to leave as soon as possible, why don't they get on last? I always think that people who get on last should leave first. Does that make sense to you? No? Oh, crikey. And it's the same as sitting here in the hall here. Now, this is supposed to have the opportunity for people to come in, but I don't know why it is that when people come into this hall and they sit down, they always sit in the back. No one ever sits in the front. It must be that I'm not using the right deodorant, or didn't brush. I did have a shower this morning. Now, sometimes when I mention that story with Lady Gaga, you know my story with Lady Gaga? What that story was, that was when I was in Sumatra giving a talk up in Medan, and she was over in giving a talk in Jakarta, and her talk sold out in 45 minutes. I think my talk sold out in 10 minutes. So it just shows who's more popular. But if it's Lady Gaga, if Lady Gaga was giving the New Year's Eve talk and celebrations, would you be sitting in the back? Or would you be right here in the front? The front here is called the mosh pit. And no one ever sits in the mosh pit here. I try my best anyway. Have you ever sat in the mosh pit in concerts? Oh my goodness. The mosh pit is a thing in the front here. This is very worrying because it means that all the people who are coming to our Buddhist society must be always getting so old now they don't even know what mosh pit means anymore. I don't know what's going to happen. We always want more young people to come up, so it means that there'll be people to take over afterwards. And you know, I'm always very happy when you see young people come and offer food to the monks. Because see all the normal people who come to offer food to the monks, and they're getting older and older and older. And I think that in a few more years you'd all be dead and there'd be no one to feed our monks. Is that true? No. Okay, so I can be sort of semi-serious for a few moments because it's now almost 11 o'clock and we're supposed to just give a little talk about the importance of New Year's or Old Year's or in between New Year's or whatever it is. But nevertheless, we're trying to do this to encourage people to come to the temple instead of going to the pub. But the pubs are closed. Actually, are they closed? I think somebody said they're open, but you can't actually dance. You can't dance either. I remember seeing you once. It wasn't a pretty sight. There's some... Maybe it's just people have lots of fun and joy. I also remember the times when we used to do, we still do it, we have what's called the circumambulations. That's when we go around 3 times with our right shoulder to the object of worship. Let's say, for example, our katina ceremonies. When we had our katina ceremonies, it's customary to go round the hall where the sangha are sitting, the monks are sitting, and as you go around, they carry the gifts which are going to be given to the sangha afterwards. And as they go around, they start chanting and going, whoa, whoa. Actually, much more loud than that, but I'm an old monk and I have to behave. And when they chant like that, they go round and round and round, then you also see some of these people who maybe are a little bit too ancient or too prehistoric to actually to dance, but they give it a try. And it's really funny seeing these old 70-year-olds dancing. But it's like sweet and it's wonderful. They just don't mind what other people think of them, but they do it anyway, out of joy. And that's one of the most important things, why people celebrate. It should not be forced celebrations, because they feel happiness in their heart. But of course, I understand now why many of the audience here today are not laughing so uproariously. It's because you must be sad that 2021 is finishing. Oh, why is it we look at 2021 or the year going and we're not sad? When someone else, say, gets old, someone you love gets old, someone you've had a lot of wonderful times together with, for 365 days, 365 days I've been in 2021. It's not been that bad. Had some wonderful times in lockdown, working for nice peaceful meditations. Haven't been sick. Don't think so, yeah. And I can't remember any sicknesses. Haven't been able to travel anywhere. So haven't gone through any customs or immigration. And so sometimes you look back on the past year. Why is it in the past year, we don't look upon it with so much gratitude, because we get excited that it's going now and we can enjoy 2022. Why do we do things like that? Why can't we look upon 2021, and when the countdown is finished and we get to the welcome to 2022, why don't we all feel sad? Oh, 2021 is gone. Oh, I had such a lovely time in 2021. Oh. Why do we always look at it with sadness? We look at something new with happiness. Because we don't know what 2022 is going to be like. Is 2022 going to be better than 2021? You hope so. Is that... Thank you for answering anyway. Or in 2022 you're going to get older, Prem. Yeah. And it's going to get hotter with climate change. And you're going to get poorer because you're only not working as regularly as you used to, are you? So you're going to get poorer, it's going to be hotter, you're going to get older. Is that a nice thing to celebrate? And all the people, I don't know why it is, when they're at school and they go through their year 12s, and after the year 12s are finished, yay, we're finished, and they go down to Dunsborough or somewhere and they go partying. If they'd only knew what it's like to get a proper job, or go to university, and they think, oh my goodness, this is terrible. If they knew, say when they get married, oh, it's nice when you do it, but then afterwards, oh. That's why, you know this saying that when you get married it's supposed to be the happiest day of your life? This happened when I was blessing a marriage. The bride, used to come here, and when she said, after the blessing was finished and all the ceremonies had been done, and she said to me, the marriage is supposed to be the happiest day of my life, she said. Is this it? She said that with genuine pathos. Oh my goodness, it's all downhill from here. And life sometimes is downhill. I often say that as a 70-year-old now. Once you get over the hill, the more you go down that hill, you pick up speed and it goes faster and faster and faster. So we should feel a bit sad and sorry. Oh, 2021. We've only got another 57 minutes to enjoy. Oh, that's so sad. And so when 2021 finishes, instead of cheering and celebrating, we should all have a good cry. Oh, 2021 is finished. Oh, what a shame. Is that a good way of looking at life? Sometimes, seriously, it's nice to be able to put things in an opposite way. Why is it we're celebrating 2022? We don't know what's going to happen in 2022. Do you really think it's going to be much better? It could be really worse. It could be terrible. It could be the worst year ever. There could be climate change. There could be weird governments. Instead of the Omicron, what's the next one which is going to get? The Omega-con. Omega is the last, isn't it? The end of things. It could be the end of the world coming soon. Is that a good idea? At least we survived this year. We should celebrate it. Yeah, well done. But why is it we always look upon the future with hope? We're thinking it's going to be better than last year. They're thinking that somehow this will give us an opportunity to do something much, 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 much better. But anyway, it doesn't mean that 2022, the reason why we can celebrate this, the reason why we celebrate when, say, a kid gets born, or we celebrate it when somebody gets married, or when they retire or something, because it presents you with new opportunities. And those new opportunities are there to be grabbed and taken, because they weren't there before. A new opportunity for you. So part of the success of life is seeing those new opportunities and celebrating the opportunity, but not just having a party when you just have the new opportunity, but making the best use of it. And so in the past year, 12 months, there's been many opportunities which, I've faced and the other people have faced, different circumstances, having some lockdowns, having some different lifestyles, more time for some peace and meditation, I thought, but instead of having peace and meditation, sometimes more, I had enough, I could always have some more. But then we had the beautiful opportunities to expand on Zoom channels and Skype channels and other channels. That's, I'm a 70-year-old, so now is the first time you can really get to know how to have these conferences over Zoom and how to connect with people even though you're at a distance. Those are some of the weird things which I personally was noticing doing so many Zoom conferences with people otherwise you would normally go to those countries and talk online. And at first it's a bit strange when you're just talking to a screen or a camera. You got your computer screen in front of you and there's 1,000 people on there like there was last week. You can't see them all, you can't touch them all, you can't hear their laughter. That's one of the most difficult things when you tell a joke online, because I see the people and you can't hear them, whether they're laughing, they're groaning, or whether they're walking out the door. The feedback is something which you miss, the instant feedback. And I think you all know that all those times you've seen me give a talk here, I look at your faces. Today I can only see half your face. The top half. Which is not as expressive as the bottom half. But after a while you get used to that and you get more skilled and actually be able to find out if people are really interested in what you're saying or they're either very bored. And that way that you can communicate with people in a much more sensitive way. And how many of you who live together think, you don't understand each other, you're not listening to each other. Now for me it's almost my life as a teacher to be able to communicate, to see you, find out if the message is getting through or it's not. And I can't sort of blame myself if that doesn't happen, but now you have more difficult ways of communicating, just over a computer. not just with words. You see somebody, or sometimes you don't see it. You've got to figure out and feel whether the talk is getting across or not. You give a guided meditation. Is it really touching people? Are they getting peaceful? And these days, after probably the last whole year of doing so many talks on Zoom, that you feel that you can, and as people say this, that you can actually almost understand how they're feeling. Not everybody. And you can say something or give some advice which they get blown away by. They said, that was exactly what I needed. And how does that work when you're just talking to a screen? Because also you feel somehow those people who are talking with you at a distance, sometimes thousands of miles, you can still connect with them somehow. And then I started to remember the sorts of stories which I remembered as a kid, the things which I've seen in articles, that, if it's somebody you care for, they may be the other side of the world, and they may be, like the standard description is, as an example, they may be in a car accident, and they've been in a car accident. That very day, that very moment, you know that. You feel it. Human beings have got a sensitive side to them. And that sensitive side, if you have someone you've been with, lived with, know them, then a lot of times there's a connection there which transcends space. And the classic story, because I remember when I went to visit Melbourne years ago, and they showed me this story in the Melbourne Age newspaper about quite a well-known veterinary doctor who, on a weekend like this, that he obviously closed down his surgery, and then he was travelling alone. He was a single man. He was travelling alone to a country house for a weekend party. And in his car, between the country house and city of Melbourne, maybe a 2 or 3 hour drive, he broke down. Not his car didn't break down. He broke down. He started getting so sad, he started weeping. Now if you're really crying, you cannot drive a car in traffic. You have to park. You parked in the emergency lane. And the only reason for that was because he was sad. He was overcome by grief. And it was weird, just in the middle of the journey. And in the article which he wrote, and it was published by the Melbourne Age, he said that when he was weeping, just the tears flowed and he couldn't stop them. It took him about half an hour to get what he said, to get himself together again. And when he did, he just dried his eyes and just carried on. Carried on until he got to the country house. And it was there that he found the reason why he'd been overcome by grief. There was a message waiting for him there. He wasn't married, he wasn't living with a family, except for his dog. His dear dog had been hit by a car. At that very moment he had to stop. And he said it was almost supernatural. Why is it that must have been 100 kilometers away, 150 kilometers away or something, your dear dog suddenly dies, hit by a car, and you know it. You know it so powerfully that you have to stop driving and cry your eyes out. Has that ever happened to you? You know, people you care about, people you love, you know that something's happened. You do have a connection with them. And that, I reckon, that type of thing is how in the past you've managed to teach retreats to people a long distance away in other countries. and you can connect with them. I mean, you can actually feel just how they're going in the meditation retreat, whether you're given a talk and whether it's really meant something to them. You can tune into that. Something natural, but also something powerful which can be well used. I know in times before you always say, just chatting on social media with a few clicks. Why can't you just talk to them face to face? Obviously, talking face to face, you get much more information transfer. You get to feel the other person who you're talking to. You become very skilled at talking in an appropriate manner. But these days you can't do that so easily, because we're separated and we can't bridge those distances because of COVID rules. We can't travel, it's too difficult. But what we can always do is, if you're talking, say, with your mother or your a loved one a distance away, you can actually almost like mentally feel them. Just connect with them. Just their tone of voice, or just think of them. And a lot of times, if you've got enough previous connection with them, because they're your mother, your father, your brother, your son, your daughter, then you can actually connect with them. And that's where communication happens. It becomes powerful. I've seen things like that happening over all these Zoom talks over 2021. And it's real, you don't imagine this. And so if that can happen, those of you who are still worried about parents overseas, loved ones overseas, brothers and sisters, you can't get to them in time, maybe you can. That's what I learned I could do anyway. So little by little you learn a lot, new things. So every past year which has gone, nice experiences, learning more from the University of Life, and becoming a better person as a result. If you can do that, then you think, wow, 2021, a really good year. You learned something, you grew. And because sometimes the last year may not have been pleasant for you, please never think that, oh, it was a difficult year, I lost a loved one, my business didn't go so well, that, as somebody said in the questions, I've got a very unpleasant neighbour I have to live with and business is not so good. A lot of times when you complain like that, there are complaints, be honest, we're not seeing the positive side of this. The positive side of this, yeah, the neighbour was noisy, but sometimes can teach you so much of how to tolerate other people going through difficult things. Just like that, it's a story I tell often, that fellow who was always, let's tell one of the other stories happened here. The lady who came here one evening on a Friday night, and when it was time to do the meditation, I still remember she lay down just over there behind the chairs. She lay down during the meditation and fell asleep. We don't really mind that, but then she started snoring during the half-an-hour meditation time. And then people enjoyed it for about 2 minutes, but she was snoring quite loudly, and they woke her up. And afterwards, it was just a few minutes later, the bell went to start the talk, and that's when I sort of mentioned to people that lady who was there, she came here because she was suffering from domestic violence. She hadn't slept for about 3 days. And she came here just not really a devout Buddhist, but just thinking that maybe the spirituality of this place might help her. And the thing which she said was this place made her feel safe, made her feel at ease. And she took the advantage of laying down, and of course she fell asleep because she hadn't slept for such a long time. And out of kindness, I said, "Can't you let her snore? She's not doing this out of disrespect. She's doing this because that's all she can do, and it's a wonderful gift we could give to her." And so a lot of times we learn that not to be what we thought was a fault, somebody really noisy, somebody very difficult, our life being difficult, our business not being good. We can always learn from that. Does business always need to be good? I sometimes know people who run their own businesses, and a lot of times I know they're doing really well. You can see the cars they drive or the houses they live in. I know when their business is going well, I ask them, "How's your business going?" I say, "Oh, okay." They never said, "Wonderful, business is fantastic." I've never heard any business person say that. And somebody on the outside, well, obviously that's fair enough. Yeah, very good, well done, you're doing great. And then when they say, "Oh, business is really tough," a lot of businessmen, they're still making a pretty good profit. But then when they say, actually I never hear them say, "Oh, business is really bad." Because if they say that, I never see them. They'll probably move to another country or in prison or something, I don't know. But anyway, it's amazing just how we don't appreciate when things do go well. And we think that when things go well as being normal. But I reckon when things don't go so well in life, that's where we learn a lot. We grow a lot. It pushes us to make sure we do better next time. We learn about life. And I've said this very often, it's so often, the teachers when I was in school, the ones I learned the most from were the ones I didn't like. But I was the same with you. But the ones I didn't like, they're the ones who really pushed me. So I have to apologize to you. Do you like me? And I can't be a good teacher to you. I'm the ones you do like. But anyway, so little by little you put the positive side on things. And for all those funerals I've been to, when things go wrong, somebody dies. Fortunately, I think it's only 2 times now, 2 times, Buddhists who have died, who are members of the Buddhist Society of West Australia, 2 people have insisted that at their funeral service, once you press the button so the coffin actually goes behind the screen or goes to where the crematorium is, a couple of people have insisted that the song they play at the very end is not something like Time to Say Goodbye or something, or nothing so which makes people weep more, but the Monty Python, Look on the Bright Side of Life. Do you all know that song? It's a Monty Python, Life of Brian, Look on the Bright Side of Life. It's very challenging to people because the Life of Brian was a spoof on the life of religious teachers. And at the very end, poor old Brian has to get crucified with lots of others. And all these men on the cross. Actually, they don't have any women on the cross, do they? That was gender discrimination. I have to really tell the Romans about that. But anyway, and all these people on the cross, they were burst into song. Look on the bright side of life. That's all the singing I'm going to... As a monk, I'm not allowed to sing. Was that singing? No. Okay, I haven't broken the rule then. Phew. So anyway, but songs like that, it just encourages people. It puts things into perspective. Instead of looking at all the faults and things which went wrong in life, and getting depressed by them and thinking that 2022 is now going to be much better. Of course, all these things happen every year. So we learn how to learn from 2021. And when we learn from 2021, then 2022 will be pretty much the same. But our reaction to them will be different. And that is always a difference. Not what happens to us, but how we respond to the difficulties and challenges, the gains and loss of life, to the point that whatever happens, we can smile. I've grown from this. And one last little story. I've said that so many times, one last little story. And it usually ends up being 3 or 4 more big, long stories. But this last little story was something which I read some years ago. I told it on one of the retreats. When people ask the question how to deal with people criticizing you and just putting you down, even in public. Has that happened to you in 2021? Someone has criticized you, put you down, and sometimes it's unfair, sometimes it is fair. And the story behind this was a Greek philosopher said this story, that in Athens, many centuries ago, that the teacher would, whenever he would scold one of the students in class, whenever the student would do something wrong, whenever the student was told off, the teacher would charge the student a few extra dollars for that. I can appreciate that, because, if any of the monks in monastery do something wrong and I have to tell them off, that's extra work for me. So if it's extra work, you should be paid. Like we've got our ops manager over there. You have to do so much work. And if people do something wrong and you have to tell them off, that's extra work for you, isn't it? So you should actually be compensated by that by getting more money from the Buddhist Society of West Australia. Is that a good idea? Yes. But anyway, they actually did that in this school. If the teacher had to, if the student misbehaved and the teacher had to shout at them, then the student had to pay the teacher a few dollars for being shouted at. So this young man, he'd been shouted out so often when he was at school, and every time he was criticized, scolded, he had to pay the teacher. And now, when he graduated from the school and went to work, every time people scolded him, he never had to pay them. Now when he graduated, receiving a scolding was all for free. That's why he's so happy whenever he was scolded by his boss. His boss told him, "You're stupid, you're bad, you're lazy," and he would burst out laughing. Isn't that a better way to respond to a scolding than to scold back or get upset or depressed? So maybe you can try that for the next, as your New Year's resolution. Say to yourself, when I'm scolded by my boss in 2022, I would just laugh. When I'm scolded by my partner and my partner tells me off, what will you do? Laugh. In other words, don't get upset. If people scold you, they're trying to make you upset. Be rebellious. Refuse to be controlled by anybody. Do not allow yourself to get upset. That's a very good training. I've got 2 minutes before I promise I'll shut up. And then we'll do some meditation. And that was that when I was a spiritual seeker, before I became a Buddhist, that there was this one man called Gurdjieff. And he had a community over in France a spiritual community, like a small temple, like an ashram. And eventually when he died, they looked through his papers and they found out there that this guru was actually employing one man to stay at the temple. And this man who was staying at his temple was just always so lazy, so bad-spoken, so irritating. Many times the community met together. Can we ban this man from the temple? He just causes so much trouble. And only after the guru died, they found out the guru actually employed him to be there. In other words, he was one of the greatest teachers, the irritating man, to test everybody. So, do you think our Buddhist Society of West Australia employs someone in this centre who is always so irritating and always just so... Do we? If we did, why would he do that? Just to make sure that people are tested. So you learn just how to deal, not with nice things, but with irritating things sometimes. I don't think the BSWA could afford employing someone like that, but maybe where you work, the company where you work, maybe some of those bosses who irritate you, do you think maybe they've been employed there on purpose and that's their main job? I don't know. But they did that in the spiritual community. I told the monks that many times so they know that maybe that particular monk who's always irritating you, maybe he's paid to be there. Anyway, that's enough of that. So now we're going to do a little bit of meditation. And then when we get close to the midnight, we're going to have a countdown. Hopefully it's on time. And the countdown will eventually, Jake, his AV guy, is going to be putting a little screen up here with the countdown on it. And then at the countdown, when it's finished, we'll say Happy New Year, but then the two monks here will give you a blessing, or a Happy New Year blessing in the Pali for your happiness and well-being for 2022. Is that a good idea? Really? Really? Wow, you're alive. Okay, let's give it a try. So I'll put my mask on now to shut me up. If you want to know why I talk so much, it is because as you get older, you know this one? As you get older, your eyes get weak. You have to wear glasses. As you get older, your ears get weak. Some people need implants here so they can hear clearly. As you get older, sometimes your hands shake. With Parkinson's, that gets weak. As you get older, your legs get weaker. You can't walk so fast, you can't run. But there's one thing in your body which gets stronger every year of your life. And old people, this thing always gets stronger. What is that? The mouth. Maybe your grandparents, they can't walk fast. Maybe they can't see properly. But my goodness, they can talk. And I'm an example of that, so I'm going to shut up now. Do some meditation. Okay? So, if you find it difficult to meditate, you can always just... okay, that's shutting me up now. You know, Jake, you can always cut out my microphone. Yeah, he doesn't dare do that. I'll cut it out myself. Until midnight. nice peaceful way to pay respect to 2021. close. Seconds to go. 10, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. We're now going to chant for you. Sabbaroga vinimuto Sabba santapavajito Sabba veramati gando Niputo chatuang bhava sabitiyo vivachantu sabbarogo vinasatu mate bhavanvantarayo Sukhi digayugo bhavapivadanha silitsa nichang vutapachalino chataro Dhamma vatanti ayu Wano Sukhang Balang. Yay! You made it. Happy 2022. Okay, that's it done now. So, please you can wish everybody Happy New Year if you wish to. Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. Fist bumps. Very good, so thank you all for coming. Remember, this is only the start of meditation, Dhamma talks for this coming year. Very good. Okay. Very restrained. It's more restrained than I am. And thank you everybody for coming. Sitting up here by yourself, it won't be the same. Very good. Happy New Year, everyone. And may you all stay healthy, free from COVID. What else? Rich, healthy. May all be happy and well. Go. Yeah, okay. You got something to give away here. Name of that chant? It is just a blessing chant, but we just give it a bit more oomph at the end. Nice one. Yeah, okay. Happy New Year to you. Yeah. Happy New Year to you all. What? You're going back? Yeah, I'm travelling now. I'm travelling to my room over there. I've got another day, yeah. You're going back? Really, why? Okay, go. Yes, go.